trip to a remote area, and really nice roads, by the way. And you may even get some pictures of some really nice roads. We then would come back for lunch, and then we proceeded to do work at Escuela El Sembrador, the school where we stayed, the farm school. We did some remodeling, that was painting and replacing some screen on and out what we used to call a summer kitchen. I think the girls referred to it as a tortilla shack. They had a modern kitchen, and the kids absolutely did not want tortillas cooked inside on brand new electric whatever. They wanted them outside on the fire like they'd always had them. And so that was our afternoon, was remodeling that. There was other work around the farm that needed to be done, so we did those things in the afternoon. But at this time, we would like to show you our pictures. It'll take just a second, about 10 minutes or so of pictures, and it gives you a chance to see what we did. Again, the Vacation Bible School in the remote village, and also some of the remodeling project. we are going to, as a team, quickly give you a highlight. We can't tell you everything on all those pictures, and what we did was we picked out, each of us picked out our 10 favorite pictures. So it was hard to then start deleting pictures, but there's the pictures you received. What we want to do this time is just quickly give a little synopsis as not so much our day as much as what we gained from the trip. And so I'll begin. And one of the things for me was, as a pastor, I prayed and prayed the last 7 years to be able to get a team together. Because I know what this does, not only to the team, but to the church. So it's taken a lot longer than what I expected. Although we were able to get this team together, and in the last few months, praying. And the spiritual development, again, being the pastor, that was key, that was my focus. And to see that spiritual development happen so quickly, I had planned near the end of the trip some things I was going to do personally with folks, but there was no need for that. The things had already developed within in the first few days. Spiritual growth, and you will hear that from them, no doubt, but that was number one for me. That was my focus as a pastor, to make sure that those things happened and pray through those things, and it did, and God really did a great work on our group. I think secondly for me, this is my 4th trip to Honduras. However, this is only my 2nd time to what we refer to as the farm school, or El Sembrador. I was there 22 years ago, and while there, I really began to sense a call of ministry on my life. So that was a very special moment for me. In connection with that, that allowed for the time to preach in the boys' chapel to be very special. And I spoke about God's will for them, as how God would use them and how they're to open up their lives. And God expects us to submit our life completely over to God. And so that was a joy for me. And then I would say the third thing that was really important for me was just the faces. You saw the faces there of these children. And the remote village would shock you, but these faces, these children, to be able to participate in their life and to teach the gospel and the ways with the different giftedness of the group was profound, not only for them, but just for me as well. And so quickly, those were the things that really affected me on this trip. And please, later on, you're just going to hear these personal testimonies, but please ask questions. We have a lot to tell you, at least if you want to know about it. We have a lot to tell you about those days.
It's hard to put into words what the last 10 days or so have been, but I think Ron mentioned being there. This is the 2nd time for me as well. 19 years ago, was at El Salvador, and I really felt the Lord was calling me to missions. And it was neat for me to watch these girls that we've poured our lives into for the last few years, just watch them grow. And the Lord spoke to me through them, that I didn't miss that call to missions, that my mission field is right here. And that, shouldn't have gone first. But just that I am fulfilling that call, and it was back there that the Lord reminded me of that. And I think secondly, just the thing that speaks the most to me is just, and you saw a little bit of it, kind of, in the pictures, but just the faces of the kids, of the adults, just of the 100 people, and just how you can see Jesus shining through their faces. One real quick story, just to be able to get on a bus and be greeted by a bus driver who hasn't eaten all day. And yet, he greeted us as if we were the most important thing in the world.
Our bus driver, Santos, lost his wife a few years ago, and his roof just collapsed recently, and he's trying to pay for his kids' education, and he can't, and he's doesn't have enough food for anyone in his family, so we raised $1,700, I think, for him.
I didn't expect my life to be changed on the back of a bus, and I didn't expect it to be changed by a man that lives 5 minutes away from me, and that was hard for me. And he just asked some really tough questions the first day, and I realized that I really wasn't at where I was supposed to be at in my faith. And like, he just challenged all of us, and I can't thank him enough for that. And then after those first few days where like we talked and stuff, I just felt really discouraged. And we were going on our way home from VBS, and we walked the kids home. And as we were walking them home, I was just like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be here. Like, I don't know if this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm carrying this little girl, and I'm sweating, I'm dripping sweat because it's so hot, and my arms are burning because I'm carrying this little girl, but I was like, I can't put her down. She has to walk this every day. And I was like, I really don't know if I'm supposed to do this. And then I get stuck in mud, and I try to get out, and then, so I set the little girl down, and she's walking, and then she almost falls in this puddle, so I swoop her up, and then I fell onto the barbed wire fence and cut my wrist, and like, but I'm still having like the greatest time of my life, and I was just like, I don't know. And then that it turned out to be like my favorite moment of the trip, and I realized later, like, that moment, like, that's gonna be my walk with Christ. Like, I'm gonna fall in mud, and I'm gonna scratch myself on the barbed wire fence, but I made it through, and like, my reward was like, that was my favorite moment, and my reward at the end will be Christ, and having like one last relationship, and having an eternal life with him. Okay, so in the pictures you saw a little boy that I was sticking my tongue out with, and his name was Nahum, and he was at the BBS. He was one of the older boys, so he always was acting all tough and trying to lead everyone around, and he was really nice to all the little kids, and that was really encouraging to see. Then on the last day, it was pretty normal most of the time, and then when we went in for snacks, which was always the last thing, he just didn't look himself. So I walked over to him, and as soon as I got over there, he just turned his head and started crying. And that was really hard to see just because of how he acted before. And then once we got out and we had to say our goodbyes, he just held on to me and just kept holding. And it was just so hard to let go, but at the same time, it was such a rewarding feeling to know that I had touched his life as much as he had touched mine. And knowing that he's gonna remember me for the rest of my life and for the rest of his, it's just, it feels better than all the pain that happened through saying our goodbyes.
My favorite part was when we were taking the little kids home, and I can't really remember her name, but she just stuck to me the whole time, and she was crying, I was crying, and like, she wouldn't let go, so, and then we were passing a puddle, she wouldn't care, she would hold on to me with my hair, and then right when we passed the puddle, she would hold on to me even tighter. So then, when we passed her house, she just kept back, like, she just kept walking with us, like, no matter how far we were going to walk.
It was a joy to get to know this team up here. It's sad to believe that we're 7 miles apart in churches and we're 5-10 miles apart away from our homes, but it was great to get to know this team here, our youth, and then the other 17 members of our bigger team. It was just a joy to get to know them and how they serve the Lord and everything. The second is I got a better understanding of the mission, missionaries, and what they do and what their sacrifices are. And it was just a blessing to get to see that. And the third thing, I guess, I would challenge any one of you to get involved in missions. If you're scared of taking a mission trip like I was, it was it was a joy. It was a blessing just to be with these folks and my family. But I would just challenge you. It doesn't have to be thousands of miles away. It can be right in our own backyards. Howard and I have talked. We can do some mission trips close to home. We can take just short trips. And again, I would just challenge you to do a mission trip. It's very rewarding.
For me, this has been a blessing from the very beginning of the word go. It just, Kelsey saying that we had to have faith, and throughout this trip, I've seen faith staring me in the face every day. You can't explain it unless you've been there. We went to the mountaintop, and spiritually, I've been sparked. I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to see where God leads me from here. Just the kids and the simple things. They didn't have hardly anything, but we give them a half of a peanut butter sandwich every day for lunch, and they'd be wrapped in silicone, and we help them unwrap them. And some of the kids would say no, and they'd stick it in their backpack and take it home for their family. I mean, it was just a very humbling experience. You just can't describe it. And like Dan said, if you don't be afraid, don't make excuses to go on a mission trip, because you may not think it's possible, but with faith in God, anything's possible, and you won't regret it one minute. And it can just be in your backyard. You don't have to go far away land. And I just hope that you guys can experience it someday.
I was asked to go on a mission trip in like January, February, and I didn't really understand why I was being called to, and I still don't understand until we were in the airport in Miami coming home. I had met this boy named Rohair, which in English is Roger, but all week I called him Rohan. Like, I was calling him wrong all week, and I felt awful about it. But he gave his testimony the second night we were there, and he's 15 years old and he's in 8th grade, and like the whole entire week I would just we'd make eye contact, and his face would just light up. He had the biggest smile, and the smile just got bigger as the week continued, and he waved at me every time he saw him, and we made these friendship bracelets, and we're prayer partners now, and it just means a lot that something so small and as simple as a smile can make someone's whole day. And the day I left, he told me he goes forever, boys, and we were bracelet, and just we both cried, and I hugged him, and it was just like special moments like that. Like, it's the little things to them. It really means a lot, and it opened my eyes. And I just encourage everyone, like, if you are even second guessing, like, or don't know why you are going on a mission trip, if you're asked to, just do it, because there's always a reason and a purpose as to why. So.
So the person that kind of touched me the most on the experience was our bus driver, Santos. And here he's a man, we're at Vacation Bible School, and he would always kind of stand off to the side and just kind of watch us. And so after about the first day, I'd get the games going, and I'd go over and start having conversations with him. And towards the end of the week, our relationship had grown quite a bit. And we were sitting in the van trying to talk, and the more we talked, I could just see he was kind of breaking up inside. And we started he pulled out his wallet. He had pulled out a picture out of his wallet earlier in the week, and I saw when he did it was completely empty. 2 days later, we were in his house, and we got to meet his family. And as I walked through his house, one of the things I always look for is how much food they have in the house, and there was no food. So no money on Tuesday, no food on Thursday. 7 people living in the house, and Santos is the only one that earns money. He showed me a pillar on his house, and if you shake it like this, the whole roof shook. You could walk up to the ceiling joist and just flip the wood off. It's a clay ceiling. His family sleeps underneath. No money. Then I think of the scripture of the Good Samaritan, where it says, love God and love your neighbor. And there's my neighbor. We're sitting in the van and we're just talking, and I can see his heart was breaking. And so he pulls out his wallet and he pulls out these receipts, and he's just laying them down one by one. And as he's laying them down, his heart is breaking because there's 16 receipts that he had borrowed money to pay for food for his family. And we're sitting there shopping, and as we're doing this, I'm seeing Americans walking up with bags and stuff, putting it into our van. And he's breaking down. And you wouldn't know it. What do we do with that? What do we do with love thy neighbor? In Santos, he just really witnessed that to me. So, we've talked about our mission experiences. I just want everybody to know we're going to be taking a team to Mexico in December. For any of you who feel that maybe, just maybe, this has maybe helped you take a little step closer to making that commitment, we just want you to know that there's a team going.
So there's your first opportunity, and that is a trip to Mexico in December, and no doubt you can stop Howard and ask him more details to that. There are great opportunities. This becomes really our mission. Please ask our team members more questions, because we struggled with how little to say. How can we condense our time down and try to express something? And so we personalized it for you. But you'll note that there was definite spiritual growth from our team. I was very, very proud of this team. Your people represented Farmer-Ney to Honduras. They did a very good job. Worked very hard, poured themselves out completely. But you know, there's something about that. You can't outgive God. He has a way of returning that many times over. And so I think you will note, as you continue to talk to these, that God has way blessed us much more than what we could even describe. And our team is humble enough to think, you know, that we saw Christ in others' eyes. But our prayer was really, and as a pastor specifically me, that our team would be at a spiritual level where they, who we were ministering to, would see Christ in us. I believe that happened. Our little devotional before we left was about crossing boundaries with the gospel, and we did that. And your church members, your representatives here, were ambassadors of the gospel. They poured out themselves in every way possible. Loving on these children, giving many ways, and then some ways teaching how they can do some things on their own. The school where we were working at is doing that as well. Thank you so much, church, for finding this important enough to pray, finding it important enough to give financially, and with the supplies, you got a chance to see some of those things. I hate the fact that we have to hurry through a Sunday morning. We're all kind of out of sync over here because in other countries, they don't run by the clock. All right, so, and I know we do, and you're saying, well, please get over it, Pastor, quick. However, we will be moving towards Holy Communion. And